My dog's around here, so
Were you? Oh, that's fun.
yeah. Because I figured I know some folks back home are definitely like glued to it. So
Yeah, it's kind of cool. They can just come up,
yeah,
different points
right.
and at any time.
Yeah, that's really awesome.
Okay, he's gonna cue me here, and then we'll go live. You can just look right at me like a
Okay,
conversation.
sounds good. This is like perfect for you with your news background, I guess, huh?
Totally. Hello, Iditarod Insiders. Liz Raines again, live here in McGrath, and I've got another musher for another live interview. This time we've got Will Trasinski with us, another rookie in the race, coming off your 24. How's it going?
It is going awesome. Yeah, it's been unbelievable and totally different than I expected, but I think I was telling you earlier, like in every good way possible. So yeah.
Yeah, what kind of things are different for you then? I'm sure you heard lots of stories before you got out here.
Yeah, it's not necessarily like the Sundance is barking in the background. She wants her dinner. It's not necessarily like the trail is different or, I mean, it definitely is, but it's not anything that is wild. Or even the processes, like I'm pretty used to, I've done a lot of mid-distance races, so that's all normal. The biggest thing that's been different for me is like just my mental state in a really good way. I was coming in here like prepared to like sort of battle my own demons, and maybe I still will. There's a lot of race left. One of our kennel like philosophies or missions is to actually like address and like promote awareness of mental health issues. And so I struggle with depression and anxiety, and I was coming out here being like, okay, let's go. No, it's been amazing. I'm having the best time. And it's really funny because I am like really far back in the race. I'm like the second or third last person. And before I came in, I was like, if I'm that far back, I'm going to feel so bad. I was like really down on myself. I do not care. I am having so much fun. I have all 14 of my best buds with me, and we're seeing all this new country. It's amazing. So I'm just like in this awesome state, and I'm having a blast. So yeah, that's a really good thing to not be expecting, right? And then to have it happen. So
that is so good to hear. And we hear a lot of mushers talk about that the reason they do this is because they love being out in the country with their dogs, and they sort of describe this emotion or this state that they can get to when they're just with their dogs out in nature. Do you feel like, maybe you're experiencing some of that as well?
Yeah, and I've been mushing for 20 years, and when I first started mushing, that was that's what it was. You just get this like, I'm not religious or anything, but this is like where I go to church, and it's just this, I don't know, it's just this amazing thing. But over time, I kind of lost some of that. And because especially building your own kennel, there's so much that goes into it and so much worry and like, having to deal with logistics and money and all this stuff. And it got lost. And then all of a sudden we like came over the Alaska range, and I was like, there it is. And it's like unbelievable to have found it again. So yeah, that's definitely what I'm experiencing. It's amazing.
We have certainly seen some beautiful landscapes, our crew, just in the way that we have traveled. And I can only imagine how amazing it has been for the mushers who've been out on the trail the whole time. Is there a particular stretch of the trail that you've been particularly looking forward to seeing?
It has been, so I've done the run to Finger Lake multiple times because they used to hold a race that would go up there called the Northern Lights 300, and it goes up there and back. So I've seen that country before. So that part, I mean, it's really cool, but I was like not so impressed. But literally the moment we left Finger Lake, you leave and there's mountains in front of you, and it was just this whole new, it was like Little Mermaid, a whole new world, and I made a bunch of videos, and it was just me being like, I can't believe this. So the whole stretch from Finger Lake I went all the way to Roan. I went past Rainy Pass because we were having a great run. It was amazing and just really stunning. It was a blast. The steps were no problem. I could definitely see how in other weather conditions they could be a real issue, but it was just fun and just unbelievably beautiful. It's so, it's like really old forests back there and mountains and stuff, and it reminded me of being in like the Rockies in Colorado. So yeah, that was awesome. I can't wait to see more new stuff. I haven't really cared that much that we're not like going to Nome, except for I do want to go to Nome, but I am a little bummed that we're not going to continue forward and see more new country. Like now, I can't wait to see the coast. That's like such a different world. And the dogs are, I feel like the same way, but they're all doing it through their noses. They're like, oh, interesting. nesting, and then, there's some different squirrels, and we're going to chase this different raven. Although we may have the same raven following us, it's possible. There's definitely been one teasing us for a while, so anyway.
How cool is that, having a raven traveling with you?
I had that happen my very first junior Iditarod, and it really jazzes the dogs up. And we got so close to getting one this one time, which I don't want to get a raven, but the dogs are like, yeah.
Little boost.
Yeah, exactly. And they said on the trail, birds and stuff. Really excited about birds. They're like, yes! And so every time there's a bird, we're just like flying down the road. So
have you guys seen any moose out there? I know a lot of mushers talk about the moose boost. My husband Matthew talks a lot about that, where they'll smell a moose and then they pick up their speed.
Yeah. We haven't seen nary a moose, which I'm okay with, because they can be an issue. But what we did see, though, was really interesting. On the way right past Rainy Pass, a lot of people had camped, and it was just getting dusky, and all of a sudden there was a little red friend up in front of us, and it was a fox, a really beautiful fox. And that fox was paying zero attention to us because it was also eating snacks from somebody. And we really almost stumbled over it. I was actually slowing the team down because, you don't want to worry about like rabies stuff. But all of a sudden the fox saw us and went running, and the dogs were like, "Wow!" And a couple of them really wanted to run after it, but we continued on. But the fox actually kind of kept following us a little bit and sitting, and that was really cool. That was beautiful.
Wow. So we heard Sundance made a little cameo earlier, was barking. Tell us a little bit about your team, the makeup of your team. Are they rookies as well? All of them?
I have every single dog in the team as a rookie except Emmy. One thing that's interesting about my team is that they're all girls. So I have an all-female team. It kind of was by accident, but they are so cool. They're just awesome. They kind of have a little bit of what is happening? But they're also starting to kind of dial in and be really jazzed up. And they just are, every time we stop, they're wagging their tails, they're barking, they want to go on. I mean, beginning, end, middle of the runs. And that's a really good feeling. And, I think I said we have all 14, and that's awesome. I've been doing a lot of really dedicated vet care. That's super important to me. And everybody looks great, honestly. Apologies to my handler, Sam, who is waiting for drop dogs. There's nobody coming anytime soon. So, fingers crossed. But, everybody's just really doing awesome. So, they're little Spitfires. Most of them are pretty small, 40 pounds, which is pretty small for Alaskan Huskies. But they're also I'll take this team going up hills any day of the week because they love going up hills, and they start barking and charging they don't want to stop. Sometimes I can't run up the hills with them because they're going too fast. So,
wow. Well, that is I guess a good problem to have. Maybe the musher would say, not having to run up the hills to give an extra boost. Yeah,
I know that a lot of people are kind of or have said that they're what about those hills on the way back? We went down those hills going up flat, or the steps and stuff. That's one of the main areas. And I was like, we got this. These guys are going to do great. They're going to conquer it. So yeah, I'm ready for it.
That's awesome. Well, it was interesting you mentioned you have an all-female team, because sometimes we hear from mushers about some of the dynamics in their race can change a lot depending on whether they have a female that's coming into heat, and some of the dynamics between male and female dogs. Do you think that having an all-female team has maybe eliminated that dynamic for you from the race?
Well, there are also dynamics that people, when I first started the kennel, I ended up having all female dogs. It was just, like I said, a coincidence, but then I was like, hey, this is kind of cool. But then some people would be like, okay, well, that's a little tricky, because when they come into heat, they can get real grouchy with each other. And I actually do have a dog in heat, Ophelia, and she's already kind of a grouch with everybody. So she has been a little sassy, but, we're managing it. But otherwise, honestly, we work a lot with socialization. I know your husband, Matt, does too. We definitely come from the same school of training of Martin Boozer's free play and all of that really high socialization. And these guys get along great and have a blast with each other. And I don't even think about that gender dynamic at all on the trail. But it is kind of a fun fact that, heck yeah, they can do it. There are some teams I've heard that have all male teams, and to kind of eliminate the worries about that. But I think all female teams just as good, So plus, nobody's going to pee on my sleeping bag when I'm laying next to them. So
yeah, that's another dynamic with male dogs you got to watch out for.